I always thought finding evidence of cheating would feel dramatic, like catching them in the act, or getting anonymous photos in the mail. Instead, I discovered my fiancé's affair while looking for a recipe we'd saved on his laptop. My name is Kinley, and 3 weeks before my wedding, I was searching through Trey's browser history for a butternut squash soup recipe we'd bookmarked. That's when I saw them. Dozens of intimate Facebook messages between him and Elise from accounting. Baby, I miss your touch. Last night was incredible. Kinley's so focused on work lately, she barely notices. My hands trembled as I scrolled through months of messages, photos, and late-night meetups. The timestamps showed their affair started right after our engagement party. What are you doing? Trey's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway of our home office, coffee mug in hand. How long? I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. What are you talking about? He walked over, then froze when he saw the screen. You're snooping through my private messages? Private messages with Elise? Really? I turned the laptop toward him. The same Elise you said was just a work friend when I asked about all those late meetings. It's not what you think. Don't. I held up my hand. Just don't. Look, you've been so cold lately, always staying late at work, talking about that overseas position. So this is my fault? I stood up, my engagement ring suddenly feeling like it was burning my finger. I have needs, Kinley. And lately, you're more married to your career than to me. I slipped off the ring and placed it on his desk. We're not married yet. Thank God, his mother Faith called within the hour. I was in my car, parked outside our favourite coffee shop trying to breathe. Kinley, dear, let's talk about this rationally. Her cultured voice dripped with false concern. Every couple has their challenges before the wedding. He cheated, Faith, for months. Men sometimes stray when they feel neglected. Perhaps if you'd been more attentive? I laughed bitterly. I planned our entire wedding while working full-time. And that's precisely the problem. A wife should prioritise her husband, not her career. Though I suppose this behaviour explains why you're still unmarried at 29. My phone buzzed with another call, my mother. I ignored it. You're damaged goods now, dear, Faith continued. Walking away from this marriage would be foolish. Who else would want you? I ended the call and walked into the coffee shop. My phone kept buzzing, texts from my mother, sister, even my father. Mum. Call me immediately. Faith told me everything. Mara. Don't throw away your future over one mistake. Dad. Your mother's very upset. You need to fix this. I ordered my usual latte and sat in the corner, opening my work email to distract myself. A new message from Sierra, my colleague at the global office, caught my eye. Subject: offer letter attached. It's official. The transfer was approved. Call me ASAP. My hands shook as I downloaded the attachment. There it was. A formal offer for a senior strategy position at our European headquarters. The same position Trey had mocked as a pipe dream. My phone rang again. This time it was my mother. Have you lost your mind? She demanded. Faith called me in tears. He cheated, Mum, multiple times. All men stray sometimes. You're not getting any younger, Kinley. Do you want to die alone? I'd rather be alone than with someone who betrays me. You're being dramatic. Faith assured me Trey will forgive your career obsession if you apologise. Apologise? My voice cracked. For what? Working hard? Having ambition? For being difficult. Unmarriageable. No wonder he looked elsewhere. I stared at the offer letter on my screen, something hardening in my chest. You're right, Mom. I'm unmarriageable now. Finally, you're seeing sense. I have to go. I have a call with HR about wedding leave cancellation. I hung up before she could respond and opened my email. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I typed. Dear Sierra, I accept the position. How soon can I start? My phone lit up with another text from Faith. I hope you're ready to beg for forgiveness. It's your only chance at happiness. I took a sip of my latte and smiled, whispering to myself, go ahead, write my obituary. I'll be too busy writing my success story. The dress is beautiful, the consignment shop owner said, carefully examining my wedding gown. And never worn. I can offer you 3,000. Deal. I signed the paperwork quickly, not letting myself look at the intricate beading I'd once been so excited about. My phone buzzed. Another missed call from Mum. I'd been dodging her attempts at intervention for 2 weeks now, playing the part of the devastated almost bride while quietly preparing for my move. The shop owner handed me the check. "Are you sure about this, honey? Sometimes people regret—" "I'm sure." I tucked the check into my purse and walked out, straight into my sister Mara. "Seriously?" She gestured at the shop. "You're selling your dress already. What's the point in keeping it? Mum's been trying to reach you for days. Faith invited us all to dinner tonight. She wants to talk things through." I laughed. "There's nothing to talk through." "Don't be stubborn. Faith only wants what's best for you. She says Trey's devastated." "Is that why he's already dating Elise publicly?" Mara shifted uncomfortably. "He's just processing. Faith says—" "Stop telling me what Faith says." Several passers-by turned to look. I lowered my voice. "I'm done listening to Faith." Back at my apartment, I continued packing, carefully labelling boxes for storage or shipping. My phone pinged with a message from Sierra. "Visa approved. Your flat's ready whenever you are. Also, Ray wants to know if you're free for dinner when he's in town next week." Ray Woods, our global CEO, had been surprisingly supportive of my transfer. I'd only met him twice, but his endorsement had fast-tracked my move. The doorbell rang. "Mum." "You're not even dressed!" She barged in, eyeing my yoga pants and t-shirt. "Dinner's in an hour." "I'm not going." Faith went to a lot of trouble. "I don't care what trouble Faith went to." I continued taping boxes. She finally noticed the packed apartment. "What's all this?" "Spring cleaning." "Kinley Crawford, stop this nonsense right now. You're acting like a child." "A child?" I straightened up. "A child would cry and beg. A child would believe it when you tell her she's worthless without a ring. I'm doing neither." "No one said you're worthless." "Faith called me damaged goods. You called me unmarriageable. I was trying to help. You're throwing away your whole future over one mistake. My future isn't Trey. Or any man." I handed her a wedding invitation. "You can return this to Faith yourself." That night, I attended Faith's dinner party. Not because I gave in, but because I wanted to see their faces. I wore my best black dress, minimal makeup, and a practiced expression of quiet dignity. Faith held court in her dining room, Trey at her right hand. Elise sat next to him, wearing my old spot, trying too hard to fit in. "Kinley, dear," Faith's smile was razor-sharp. "How brave of you to come." I nodded silently, taking a seat at the far end. Throughout dinner I felt their pitying glances, heard their whispered conversations. Poor thing, she looks terrible. Such a shame. She had such potential. At her age, starting over, I picked at my food, playing the role of the broken ex-fiancé perfectly, until the dining room door opened and a tall figure stepped in. "Sorry I'm late," Ray Woods said, his presence immediately commanding the room. Traffic was terrible. He walked straight to my end of the table. "Kinley, glad I caught you before your big move." Faith's wine glass slipped, splashing red across her pristine tablecloth. Trey's fork clattered against his plate. "Ray," I smiled genuinely for the first time that evening. "I didn't know you'd be here. Wouldn't miss it. We need to discuss your role in the Paris merger." He pulled up a chair beside me, completely ignoring Faith's stammered protests about seating arrangements. "I don't understand," Mara whispered loudly. "What role? What merger?" Ray raised an eyebrow at me. "Haven't you told them about your promotion?" "I wasn't sure who was in my corner," I replied, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Didn't want to seem unmarriageable." Faith's face went pale. Trey couldn't meet my eyes. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something better than revenge. I felt free. Faith cornered me in her powder room after dinner, her perfectly manicured hands gripping the marble counter. "What game are you playing?" "No game," I reapplied my lipstick. "Just living my life. Ray Woods doesn't personally handle transfers for mid-level employees." "Maybe I'm not as mid-level as you thought." I capped my lipstick. "Excuse me." Back in the dining room, my boss Tom was practically tripping over himself to talk to Ray. Just last week, he denied my request for a project lead position, claiming I lacked executive presence. "Kinley," Tom called out. "I've been meaning to discuss that leadership opportunity we talked about." "Too late," Ray cut in smoothly. "She's already accepted a better one. Europe's gain is your loss, Tom." I hid my smile as Tom's face fell. Trey was watching me from across the room, his arm around Elise, but his eyes following my every move. The next morning, Sierra flew in from London. We met at my favourite cafe, the same one where I'd received my offer letter. You should have seen their faces, I told her, stirring my latte. Faith looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Good. Sierra's eyes narrowed. After what they did, they deserve worse. Speaking of which, she pulled out her phone. Ready to plan your farewell dinner? Nothing big. Nope, you don't get a say. You need a proper send-off. I'm thinking that rooftop restaurant downtown, exclusive guest list, lots of champagne, and, she grinned, one very special guest of honour. Ray's coming. He specifically asked to be included, said something about making a statement. That evening, my phone lit up with a message from my boss. Kinley, let's discuss your transition plan. Also, your corner office is ready whenever you want to move in. I showed Sierra the text. She laughed. Amazing how quickly they changed their tune when they realised they backed the wrong horse. Speaking of horses, I said, did you see Elise's performance review got leaked? Mysteriously leaked, Sierra winked. Along with some very interesting emails about how she got her promotion, the farewell dinner was 3 days later. The rooftop glittered with string lights, the city skyline creating a perfect backdrop. I'd invited only true friends, no family, no fake well-wishers. To new beginnings, Sierra raised her glass, and to Karma being a patient bitch. Everyone laughed, clinking glasses. Ray arrived fashionably late, commanding attention in his casual blazer. Speech! Someone called out. Ray stood, glass in hand. I don't usually attend farewell parties for employees, but Kinley's different. When I first reviewed her transfer application, I was impressed. When I met her, I was convinced. But when I heard how certain people tried to dim her light, he paused, looking directly at me. Well, let's just say some people mistake kindness for weakness, their loss. I blinked back tears as he continued. To Kinley, proof that the best revenge is massive success. Sierra nudged me. Smile! She raised her phone, capturing the moment. Ray with his arm around my shoulders, both of us laughing. Champagne glasses raised. Perfect for Instagram, she said, typing quickly. Caption, to the beginning. Later that night, as guests were leaving, Ray pulled me aside. You know they'll try to stop you, he said quietly. People like Faith, like your old boss, they hate when someone proves them wrong. Let them try, he smiled. That's exactly why I hired you. See you in London. I checked my phone on the way home. Sierra's post had blown up with hundreds of likes and comments. But one caught my eye. Trey, why is the CEO of Brand Edge holding you like that? I smiled, remembering Faith's words. You're damaged goods now, dear. My reply was simple, because he recognises talent when he sees it. Back home, I found a note slipped under my door. Mara's handwriting. We need to talk. There's something you should know, something I did. I held the note, feeling the weight of unspoken words. Whatever confession Mara had, whatever new betrayal waited to be revealed, it didn't matter. In 2 weeks, I'd be on a plane to my new life. Let them whisper, let them wonder, let them write me off as unmarriageable. I was done being the girl who needed their approval. Sierra's Instagram posts spread through our social circle like wildfire. By morning, my phone was exploding with messages. Mum. The CEO? What have you done? Faith. How desperate, using your boss for attention. Trey. We need to talk. Now. I ignored them all and headed to work. The office atmosphere had shifted noticeably. People who'd been avoiding eye contact for weeks suddenly wanted to chat. Is it true you're heading the European expansion? My co-worker Lisa whispered. Everyone's talking about that photo with Ray. Before I could answer, Tom appeared at my desk. Kinley, my office. Now. I followed him, noting how his hands shook slightly as he closed the door. Why didn't you tell me about your connection to Ray? He demanded. You never asked. Too busy telling me I lacked executive presence. He flushed. That was a misunderstanding. Look, about that project lead position. Still available? I smiled. Keep it. I'll be too busy with my global strategy role. My phone buzzed. Trey again. Missing you. Elise was a mistake. Can we meet? I deleted it without responding. Another message popped up, this one from Sierra. Check your email. You'll love this. The subject line read, Personnel Update, Accounting Department. Elise had been demoted following an internal review. During lunch, Mara called 3 times. I finally answered on the 4th. "Can we talk?" Her voice sounded strained. "There's something I need to confess." "The note you left wasn't dramatic enough?" "Please, Kinley, it's important. Meet me at Riverside Park after work." I agreed, more out of curiosity than sisterly obligation. The afternoon dragged until my phone lit up with a message that made my blood run cold. Faith. "Did you really think you could embarrass my son like this? Wait until people learn how you trapped him into proposing." I screenshot it and sent it to Sierra. "They're getting desperate." Sierra: "Good. Desperate people make mistakes. BTW, that magazine piece we discussed. You're in. They want to feature you in their Women Breaking Barriers series." At 6 p.m, I found Mara sitting on a park bench, looking smaller than usual. "What's this about?" I asked, sitting beside her. She took a deep breath. "Remember when you found those messages on Trey's laptop? Hard to forget. That wasn't the first time you could have found out." I turned to face her fully. "What?" 3 months before, I saw them together, at that bar near his office. Her voice cracked. "They didn't see me, but I saw everything." The world seemed to tilt. "You knew, all that time?" Faith caught me watching them. She pulled me aside and... Mara wiped her eyes. "She offered to pay off my student loans if I helped keep things quiet. Said it would destroy both our families if the wedding was called off." "So you helped them?" My voice sounded distant, strange. "My own sister. I deleted messages from his phone when you borrowed it. Made excuses for his late nights. Faith said I was protecting you." "Protecting me?" I stood up. "You protected him. You protected his mother. You protected your bank account." "I'm sorry. I didn't know what else to do. Faith said..." "Stop telling me what Faith said." Several joggers startled at my outburst. "You watched me plan that wedding for months knowing he was cheating. You helped pick out my dress." "Please." She reached for my hand. "I'll do anything to make it right." I pulled away. "There's nothing to make right. We're done." Back home, I opened my laptop and started typing. "Dear editorial team, regarding the Women Breaking Barriers feature, I'd like to share my story. Not just about career advancement, but about choosing yourself when everyone tells you to settle. About recognizing that sometimes the people who claim to protect you are the ones holding you back." My phone pinged with a text from Sierra. "Faith's trying to spin the story. Says you're having a breakdown." I thought about Mara's confession, about Faith's threats, about all the quiet betrayals. "Let her spin," I replied. The truth hits harder. I attached my draft to an email, adding one last line: "Success tastes sweetest when they think you've starved." As I hit send, another message from Trey appeared. "You're making a fool of yourself. Come home. We can fix this." I blocked his number and opened my calendar, marking the days until my flight. 2 weeks. 2 weeks until I left behind the sister who betrayed me, the mother who doubted me, and the man who thought he could break me. Let them think I was having a breakdown. I was actually having a breakthrough. The magazine editor loved my draft. "Raw, real, and relatable," she said over our video call. "We want to run it as our cover story." "When?" I asked, glancing at my calendar. "Next month's issue." "Perfect timing with your move." She paused. "Are you sure about including the personal details? It might ruffle some feathers." "Let them ruffle." After the call, I met Sierra for coffee. She'd flown in again to help with final moving arrangements. "Your sister's been calling me," she said, sliding into our usual booth, crying about how she needs to explain. Nothing to explain. She chose her side. Speaking of sides, Sierra pulled out her phone. "Faith's been busy. Look at this." It was a social media post from Faith, praying for those who let ambition poison their hearts. Success means nothing without family. "Subtle!" I snorted. "How's Trey taking the demotion?" Sierra grinned. "Not well. Turns out he's been taking credit for your work for years, without you covering for him. He's showing his true colours. More like drowning in his own incompetence. 3 missed deadlines this week alone." My phone buzzed. "Mom." "Have you completely lost your mind?" she demanded before I could speak. "Faith just told me about this magazine article." "How does Faith know about that? She has friends at the publisher. How could you air our family's dirty laundry like this?" "Our family's dirty laundry?" I laughed. "You mean like how my sister helped cover up my fiancé's affair?" Silence. Oh, I said. Did Mara not tell you that part? What are you talking about? Ask her about the student loans Faith paid off. Ask her why. I hung up and blocked her number too. Sierra raised an eyebrow. Brutal. They wanted brutal. They got it. Later that evening, I was packing the last of my books when someone pounded on my door. Mara. Mum's hysterical, she burst out as soon as I opened the door. She knows everything. Faith is threatening to sue for defamation. With what evidence? The truth is an absolute defence. You don't understand what she's capable of. Mara grabbed my arm. She has connections, money. And I have proof. I pulled away. Every message, every email, every transaction to your bank account. Want to guess which makes a better story? I was trying to protect you. By taking Faith's blood money. By watching me waste a year of my life planning a wedding to a cheater. You don't know what it's like, Mara's voice cracked. Being the disappointing daughter. The one who couldn't afford college without loans. The one who wasn't smart enough or ambitious enough. So you sold me out to feel special? To finally be Faith's favourite? She promised to help me start my own business. Said I could be part of their family properly. Their family? I laughed bitterly. The same family that's about to be exposed in a national magazine. Great timing, sis. Mara's phone chimed. Her face went pale as she read the message. Faith's pulling her investment, she whispered. She says I failed her. Welcome to the club. I can't... Tears streamed down her face. I can't stay there anymore. Mom keeps screaming. Dad won't look at me. Faith is threatening. That sounds like a you problem. Please. She grabbed my hand. You're my sister. No. I pulled away. I was your sister when you watched Trey cheat. I was your sister when you helped him hide it. I was your sister when you told me to forgive him. I opened my door. Now I'm just the woman you betrayed for a loan payment. After she left, Sierra called. The article's going to print tomorrow, she said. Ray's added a quote about recognising talent in unexpected places. Faith must be loving that. Oh, it gets better. Remember that partnership deal Faith's company was chasing? The client saw an advanced copy of your story. And? They pulled out. Something about not wanting to associate with toxic workplace cultures. I walked to my window, looking out at the city I'd soon leave behind. You okay? Sierra asked softly. You know what's funny? I watched a family walking below, parents holding their children's hands. They all thought they were protecting me. Mum, Mara, Faith. They thought they knew what was best for me. And instead, they taught me the most valuable lesson. Sometimes you have to become everything they feared to become everything you're meant to be. Sierra was quiet for a moment. The magazine wants to title your piece Unmarriageable. I smiled. Perfect. The article dropped like a bomb. My phone started buzzing at 6 a.m. with notifications, messages and emails. Unmarriageable. How one woman chose success. Over Silence went viral within hours. I hadn't named names, but anyone who knew us could read between the lines. Rising executive breaks free from toxic engagement. Family pressure to maintain status quo. Systematic cover-up of infidelity. Sierra called while I was making coffee. It's everywhere. Have you seen the comments? I opened the article on my laptop. The comments section was flooded. This resonates so much. Left my fiancé last year after similar manipulation. Finally, someone saying what needs to be said about family loyalty versus self-respect. Can we talk about that mic drop moment with the CEO? Queen behaviour. My work email was equally chaotic. Industry colleagues I'd never met were reaching out. Your story inspired me to apply for that promotion. Thank you for speaking up about workplace dynamics. Would you consider speaking at our Women's Leadership Conference? Around noon, Lisa rushed to my desk. Elise just got escorted out. What? HR finally investigated those harassment complaints. Turns out she's been doing to other women what she did to you, sleeping with their partners, then using office politics to push them out. I thought about all the times Elise had smiled at me in meetings, knowing what she was doing with Trey. My phone buzzed with a text from Sierra. Faith's Boutique just lost another client. Their biggest one. I opened LinkedIn to find my inbox full of connection requests. One message stood out from Faith's former client. Your article resonated deeply. We've been questioning our partnership with certain agencies that don't align with our values. Thank you for your courage. Tom appeared at my desk, looking nervous. About your transition plan? Ray wants you to handle the Miller account personally before you leave. The Miller account? That's our biggest client. Ray insisted. Said something about wanting to show them what real leadership looks like. By evening, Saga Unmarriageable was trending locally. Someone had pieced together the real story and created a thread. Local agency owner's son exposed in viral article. Multiple sources confirm workplace harassment pattern. Former fiancé now heading global expansion while ex faces professional review. My doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Trey. Please, he called through the door. We need to talk. No, we don't. Mum's business is falling apart. Your article. Your actions, I corrected. Your choices. Your consequences. I made a mistake. I miss you. Elise meant nothing. Apparently she meant nothing to several people's relationships. He slumped against the door. Everyone's talking. Clients are pulling out. Mom's having anxiety attacks. Please, just tell them it wasn't about us. But it was about us. And your mother. And every person who thought they could break someone and call it protection. My phone lit up with a message from Ray. Saw the article. Perfect timing. Board wants to fast-track your transfer. How soon can you leave? Another notification popped up. An email from the magazine. Response has been overwhelming. Would you consider a follow-up piece about workplace empowerment? Then a text from Sierra. Turn on the local news. Now. I switched on the TV to see Faith outside her boutique, surrounded by reporters. These allegations are completely false, she was saying, but a perfectly curated image was cracking. Her hands shook as she clutched her designer handbag. My son is a victim of a vindictive ex-fiancé who, the reporter cut in. Sources say multiple employees have come forward with similar stories of harassment and cover-ups. Would you care to comment? Through the door, I heard Trey's phone ring. His voice turned panicked. Mum, calm down. No, I didn't know about the other complaints. Yes, I know the board is meeting tomorrow. I don't know why Elise is threatening to talk. I opened my laptop and typed a quick email to Ray. I can leave next week. The sooner the better. His reply came instantly. Perfect. By the way, that article, that's exactly why I hired you. See you in London. A final text came through from an unknown number. You think you've won? We'll see who survives abroad, sweetheart. I showed it to Sierra. Trey's cousin Imran, she said. He works in our London office. Apparently, he's not happy about your arrival. I saved the message as evidence. Let them try their games in London. I wasn't the same woman they thought they could break anymore. I was unmarriageable, unstoppable, and just getting started. The London office's annual networking gala was in full swing when Imran made his move. I'd been there 3 months, successfully avoiding his petty attempts at sabotage. But tonight, he had an audience. Everyone! Everyone! He clinked his glass, slightly drunk. Did you know our new transfer has quite the story? Sierra, who'd flown in for the event, grabbed my arm. Don't react. Let him dig his own grave. Tell them, Kinley, Imran continued. Tell them how you slept your way to the top. How you destroyed my cousin's reputation for revenge. The room went quiet. Ray Wood stepped forward, but I held up my hand. Interesting theory, I said calmly. Though I'm curious, which part upsets you more? That I expose workplace harassment, or that I'm doing your job better than you? Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Everyone knew Imran had been passed over for my position. You think you're so clever, he sneered. But we all know why Ray really brought you here. I brought her here, Ray's voice cut through the tension, because while you were busy riding your family connections, she was actually earning her success. He turned to the crowd. Speaking of which, Kinley, shall we announce the Q4 results? Imran's face paled. The quarterly numbers had just come in. My team had outperformed his by 40%. Actually, I smiled. Why don't you do the honours, Imran? Since you're so interested in my work. He lunged forward, wine sloshing from his glass. You manipulative bit! Security appeared instantly, escorting him out as he shouted obscenities. Phones recorded everything. Well, Sierra grinned, that will make interesting social media fodder. Later that night, in my London apartment, I scrolled through the flood of supportive messages from colleagues. One email caught my eye, from Mara. I moved out, finally. Mum's not speaking to me, but that's probably for the best. I'm staying with Dad's sister for now. She read your article and she gets it. Says she wished she'd been as brave when she was young. P.S. Faith's boutique officially closed last week. I started to delete it, then stopped. Attached was a photo, Mara in a small apartment surrounded by moving boxes. She looked younger somehow, more like the sister I used to know. My phone rang. Sierra. Have you checked your work email? The video of Imran's meltdown reached the board. They're launching an investigation into nepotism in hiring practices. Let me guess. Starting with Faith's referral network? The very one. Oh, and you've been invited to keynote next month's leadership conference. I opened my calendar, then froze. The conference venue seemed familiar. Sierra, isn't this the same place you were supposed to get married? Yep. Poetic, isn't it? A message from Ray popped up. Board wants you to present the new global strategy, ready to show them what real leadership looks like. Another email arrived, from Mom. The subject line read simply, perhaps. Perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps strength runs deeper than obedience. Perhaps, no, I'm sorry. Short. Cryptic. Very much my mother's style. But it was something. My doorbell rang. Sydney from HR stood there with a bottle of wine. Heard about the gala drama, she said, walking in. Thought you might need this. We sat on my balcony overlooking the London lights. You know, Sydney said, pouring the wine. When you first arrived, people said you were running away from something. And now? Now they know you are running towards something bigger than their small-town drama. My phone buzzed with another message, from Trey. His first attempt at contact in months. They're dismantling everything Mom built, the network, the connections, everything. Happy now? I showed Sydney, who laughed. Still making it about him, I see. Some people never change. But you did, she raised her glass, to becoming unmarriageable. To becoming unstoppable, I corrected. Later that night, alone on the balcony, I opened my laptop to work on my keynote speech. The cursor blinked at the title. From unmarriageable to unstoppable, how losing everything helped me find myself. My phone lit up with one final message, from Sierra. Ray's hinting at a regional director position opening up. You in? I smiled, thinking of Faith's words all those months ago. Who else would want you? Turns out, quite a lot of people. Just not the ones who tried to break me. The conference hall buzzed with anticipation. Through the backstage curtain, I could see my old wedding venue transformed into something far more meaningful. A celebration of achievement rather than submission. 5 minutes. Sierra squeezed my arm. Ready to face your hometown? Born ready. I smoothed my blazer and checked my presentation notes one last time. The first slide read, Success is the best revenge. Kinley? A familiar voice made me turn. Trey stood there, looking somehow smaller in his ill-fitting suit. Can we talk? Your timing's impeccable as always, I said dryly. I'm about to go on stage. Please, just coffee, for closure. Sierra stepped between us. She's busy becoming everything you said she couldn't be. Take your closure elsewhere. He persisted. Mom's in therapy. The business is gone. Elise left me for her boss. I've lost everything. Sounds like karma doing her job. I miss you, he tried. We could start over. Mr. Harrison, Ray's voice cut through. This is a restricted area. Security. As Trey was escorted out, Ray turned to me. Ready to show them what they lost? I stepped onto the stage to thunderous applause. Familiar faces dotted the audience, former colleagues, old friends, even my father sitting quietly in the back. Everyone loves a good revenge story, I began. But this isn't about revenge. It's about resurrection. The presentation flew by. Statistics, success stories, global strategies. But it was the personal touches that held them spellbound. They called me unmarriageable, I said, nearing the end. They meant it as an insult. I took it as a challenge. Movement caught my eye. Mom slipped into the back row beside Dad. She looked different, less rigid, more real. Sometimes the people who claim to protect you are actually protecting their own limitations. Sometimes the biggest act of love is walking away. And sometimes I paused, meeting Mom's eyes. Sometimes family isn't about who stays, but who grows with you. The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. Afterward, at the reception, Ray pulled me aside. The board's decision was unanimous. Regional executive director position is yours if you want it. When do I start? That's my girl. He handed me the offer letter. Sydney's already preparing your relocation package. A commotion near the bar drew attention. Faith had somehow gotten in, trying to approach various board members. Just one moment, she pleaded. I can explain everything. My son, your son, I called out clearly, is exactly where his choices led him, just like I am. She spun toward me, designer clothes hanging loose on her thinner frame. You destroyed us. No, Faith, you destroyed yourselves. I just refused to let you destroy me too. Security appeared again, but Faith had one last shot. You'll end up alone. No family, no husband. Actually, Sierra stepped up. She has both. We're her family now. The kind that celebrates success instead of suffocating it. As Faith was led out, Mum approached hesitantly. That speech, she said softly, about growing together. Did you mean what you wrote? About being sorry? I'm learning, she twisted her hands. Your father and I, we're in counselling, trying to understand where we went wrong. That's a start. And Mara, she's going back to school, following your example. Before I could respond, Sydney rushed over with my phone. You need to see this! The conference hashtag was trending. Clips of my speech were going viral, but one tweet caught my eye from Mara. Watching my sister prove everyone wrong. Maybe being unmarriageable runs in the family. Time to write my own story. The reception wound down into dinner. I sat between Sierra and Sydney, surrounded by my chosen family, when Ray clinked his glass. A toast, he announced, to our new regional executive director. Cheers erupted. Through the window, I caught a glimpse of Trey leaving the hotel, alone. You know what's funny? I said to Sierra. They thought making me unmarriageable would break me. Instead, it made me unstoppable. My phone buzzed with the final contract from HR. As I signed it digitally, I remembered Faith's words. Who else would want you? Looking around at my success, my true friends, my healing family, and my brilliant future, I knew the answer. Everyone who matters. I raised my glass. To being unmarriageable. To being unstoppable, they echoed. And in that moment, surrounded by victory and vindication, I realised sometimes the happy ending isn't a wedding. Sometimes it's walking away and building something better than anyone thought you could. That's not just revenge. That's revolution.
The crystal champagne flute shattered in my hand, sending shards across the marble floor of my brother's new mansion. Blood trickled down my palm, but I barely noticed. My eyes were fixed on Jessica's face as she announced her pregnancy to our stunned family gathering. I'm Maya, and I know when someone is lying. 15 years of raising 3 boys has given me a sixth sense about deception. The way Jessica's fingers twitched against her designer dress, how her smile never quite reached her eyes. Everything screamed false. Congratulations! Mark, my husband, stepped forward to hug Alex while shooting me a warning glance. He knew my tells too. The slight tilt of my head, the way I pressed my lips together, signs I was about to say something I shouldn't. This calls for more champagne, Alex declared, beaming with pride. My brother, the successful tech entrepreneur, finally getting everything he wanted. A baby to complete his perfect life. Tyler, my middle son, appeared at my side with a napkin. Mom, you're bleeding. His quiet voice anchored me back to reality. I wrapped the cloth around my palm, watching the red bloom through the white fabric. When are you due? I asked Jessica, keeping my voice light. She hesitated for a fraction too long. March, she said, one hand resting protectively over her still flat stomach. Wrong move. I'd been pregnant 3 times. No woman that early touches her stomach that way unless she's acting. Ryan, my eldest, was watching the exchange with narrowed eyes. At 18, he had inherited my bullshit detector. Lucas, my youngest, had already retreated to a corner with his phone, typical 14-year-old behavior. We should toast, Mark announced, trying to diffuse the tension crackling through the room. To Alex and Jessica's growing family. Everyone raised their glasses except me. I was too busy watching Jessica's face as she pretended to sip her champagne. The glass never touched her lips. Actually, Alex cleared his throat. We have another announcement. He glanced at Jessica, who gave him an encouraging nod. We've been thinking about adoption, too. Having a bigger family, maybe? The room went silent. I felt Mark's hand squeeze my shoulder. We thought, Jessica continued, her voice honey-sweet, that since you have 3 wonderful boys, Maya. She let the sentence hang there, heavy with implication. The cut on my palm throbbed. What exactly are you suggesting? Nothing concrete, Alex jumped in. Just floating the idea. Ryan's heading to college soon, and we have so much space here. Stop. The word came out sharper than I intended. Just stop right there. Maya, Mark warned softly. But I was already moving toward Jessica, who took an involuntary step back. First a miracle pregnancy, now you want one of my sons? What's your game? I don't know what you mean, Jessica's voice wavered. We just want to share our blessings. Bullshit. The word echoed through the massive living room. You've barely spoken 10 words to my boys in the 2 years you've been with Alex. Now suddenly you want to play mom? That's enough. Alex stepped between us, his face flushed. You're out of line, Maya. Am I? I looked at my brother, really looked at him. The dark circles under his eyes, the slight tremor in his hands. What's really going on here, Alex? Before he could answer, Jessica suddenly pressed a hand to her mouth and rushed from the room, the perfect excuse to end the conversation. I should check on her, Alex muttered, following his wife. Mark came up behind me, wrapping an arm around my waist. Well, that was quite a party. I watched my 3 sons huddled together, whispering. Ryan's protective stance, Tyler's concerned frown, Lucas's defiant glare. My boys. My family. Something's not right, I said quietly, and I'm going to find out what it is. Just don't do anything rash, Mark replied, but we both knew it was too late for that warning. The game was already in motion, and I intended to win. 3 days after the disastrous pregnancy announcement, I stood in Alex's empty kitchen, staring at the prescription bottle I'd found hidden behind the coffee maker. The label had been partially scratched off, but I could make out enough to know these weren't vitamins. Looking for something? Jessica's voice made me jump. She leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching me with those calculating eyes. I held up the bottle. Fertility medications, interesting place to keep them. You shouldn't snoop through other people's things. Her voice was steady, but her fingers dug into her arms. And you shouldn't lie about being pregnant to my brother. The silence stretched between us like a rubber band about to snap. From the living room, I could hear Mark and Alex laughing about something, the sound jarring against our tension. You don't understand, Jessica finally said. Alex needs this. Needs what? A fake pregnancy? Or one of my children? She moved closer, lowering her voice. He's sick, Maya. Really sick. The doctors gave him 6 months, maybe less. The bottle nearly slipped from my hand. You're lying. Am I? Why do you think he's so desperate for an heir? For family? Her perfect mask cracked slightly. He won't tell you because he can't stand the idea of you pitying him. If this is another manipulation, Ryan already knows. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? Your perfect eldest son has been spending time with us, helping Alex get his affairs in order. He understands what's at stake. My phone buzzed, a text from Ryan. Coming over to Uncle Alex's, need to talk to you. You stay away from my son, I hissed, but Jessica just smiled. He came to us, Maya, because he sees the bigger picture, the legacy Alex could leave him, the opportunities. The front door opened and Ryan's voice carried through the house. Mom? In here, I called, not taking my eyes off Jessica. Ryan entered the kitchen, freezing when he saw us. At 18, he looked so much like Alex at that age, the same determined jaw, the same ambitious glint in his eyes. I see you two are talking, he said carefully. Your aunt was just explaining how you've been helping Uncle Alex. The words tasted bitter. Behind my back. Mom, don't. I held up my hand. Just tell me if it's true, about Alex being sick. Ryan's silence was answer enough. Jessica slipped past us, pausing at the door. I'll give you two a moment. Once she was gone, Ryan slumped against the counter. I wanted to tell you, but Uncle Alex made me promise. How long have you known? 2 months. He collapsed during one of our lunch meetings. I drove him to the hospital. The bottle in my hand suddenly felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. And the adoption idea? Was that yours or hers? His. He wants to make sure his company stays in the family. Jessica, she just wants what's best for him. I laughed, harsh and hollow. Best for him or best for her? Why do you hate her so much? Because she's lying about something. I can feel it. I set the bottle down carefully. And now she's using you to manipulate this situation. Nobody's using me. Ryan straightened, looking more like his uncle than ever. I'm making my own choices. Are you? Or are you just seeing dollar signs and opportunities? The moment the words left my mouth, I knew I'd gone too far. Ryan's face hardened. You don't get to judge me, not when you've spent years telling us to look out for family. Well, Uncle Alex's family too. He stormed out, leaving me alone with the damning evidence of Jessica's deception and the weight of too many secrets. Mark appeared in the doorway. Everything okay? Ryan just left looking pretty upset. I picked up the fertility medication bottle and handed it to him. We need to talk about Alex, Jessica, and what they're really planning for our family. His eyes widened as he read the label, then looked at me. What do you want to do? First, I'm going to find out exactly what kind of game Jessica's playing. Then, I took the bottle back, clutching it tight. I'm going to make sure she loses. The private investigator's file landed on my kitchen table with a dull thud. Jessica Mitchell doesn't exist, he said, at least not before 2019. I flipped through the documents, each page revealing another lie. What was her name before? Sarah Winters, then Rachel Cooper, then Elizabeth James. He tapped different photos, showing the same face under different names. She's got a pattern. Wealthy men, short marriages, generous divorces. My coffee went cold as I absorbed the implications. 3 previous marriages, each ending with substantial settlements. Each husband mysteriously ill during the divorce proceedings. My phone buzzed. Tyler. Mom, something's wrong with Uncle Alex. At hospital, come quick. The drive to the hospital was a blur of red lights and racing thoughts. I found Tyler in the waiting room, his usual calm demeanor cracked. He collapsed during lunch with Ryan, he said. They won't tell us anything because we're not immediate family. Jessica's in there with him. Where's your brother? Ryan's, with her. The way he said it made my skin crawl. I spotted them down the hall, Jessica and Ryan heads bent together in conversation. The sight of my son standing so close to her, nodding at whatever poison she was whispering, made my hands shake. Mrs. Wilson? A doctor approached, chart in hand. Your brother's asking for you. Alex looked small in the hospital bed, tubes snaking from his arms. Hey, sis. He managed a weak smile. Sorry for the drama. Cut the bullshit, I said, closing the door. I know about Jessica's other husbands. His face didn't register surprise, just resignation. How long have you known? Long enough. The question is, how long have you known? He closed his eyes. Since before the wedding. I hired someone to investigate her past after I found some inconsistencies in her story. And you married her anyway? Because I loved her. Love her. He coughed, harsh and wet, and because by then the cancer was already stage 4. The truth hit like a physical blow. You're not just sick, you're dying. 6 months was optimistic. It's spreading faster than they thought. His hand trembled as he reached for water. Jessica knows everything. About her past, about my prognosis. We made a deal. A deal. She stays, plays the grieving widow, gets her settlement. In exchange, she helps secure Ryan's future in the company. My blood ran cold. You're using my son as a pawn? I'm securing his future, my legacy. Alex's voice strengthened with conviction. Ryan has the drive, the intelligence, with Jessica's guidance. Her manipulation, you mean? I leaned closer. She's done this before, Alex. 3 times. And each husband died under suspicious circumstances during divorce proceedings. He waved off my concern. Those were different. She loves me. Like she loved the others? Did you even check how they died? A nurse knocked, entering with medication. I stepped back, watching Jessica slip in behind her, Ryan hovering in the doorway. Everything okay in here? Jessica's voice dripped concern, but her eyes were sharp. Just fine, I replied, matching her tone. Alex was telling me about your arrangement. Something flickered across her perfect mask. Fear? Anger? She recovered quickly, moving to Alex's side. Darling, you should rest. Mom, Ryan started, but I cut him off. Not now. I headed for the door, pausing beside my son. We'll talk about this at home. In the hallway, Tyler waited with Lucas, who had finally arrived. Is Uncle Alex okay? I looked at my younger sons, untouched by Jessica's influence, and made a decision. No, he's not, and neither is your brother. What do you mean? Lucas asked. Through the window, I watched Jessica adjust Alex's pillows, playing the devoted wife while Ryan looked on admiringly. The perfect picture of family devotion, except I'd seen the autopsy reports of her previous husbands. All three had died from seemingly natural causes, their symptoms matching Alex's current condition perfectly. It means, I said, pulling my sons close, that we're going to save your uncle and your brother, whether they want to be saved or not. How? Tyler asked. I thought of the private investigator's file, of Jessica's pattern, of my son being drawn into her web. By destroying Jessica before she can destroy our family. The boys exchanged worried looks, but I was already planning my next move. Sometimes, to protect the ones you love, you have to embrace the darkness they're too naive to see. The toxicology report sat unopened on my laptop screen for 20 minutes before I found the courage to click. 3 previous husbands, 3 similar patterns of declining health. Trace amounts of thallium found during the final autopsy of husband number 2, dismissed as environmental exposure. My phone lit up with a text from Ryan. Meeting Jessica for lunch to discuss Uncle Alex's treatment options. Don't try to stop me. I closed the laptop and grabbed my keys, but Mark blocked the doorway. Before you go charging in there, we need to talk. She's poisoning my brother, Mark, and our son is walking right into her web. I know. He held up a manila envelope. The private investigator found something else, about Ryan. Inside were photos. Ryan and Jessica at various restaurants, coffee shops, his hand on her arm, her fingers brushing his shoulder. The timestamps went back months, long before Alex's diagnosis. It gets worse, Mark said quietly. Check the bank statements. $10,000 transferred from Jessica's personal account to a new account in Ryan's name. The date matched Alex's first hospital admission. My hands shook as I dialed Ryan's number. Straight to voicemail. He's not at lunch with Jessica, Tyler said from the stairs, making me jump. He's at the hospital with Uncle Alex. I just got off the phone with Lucas. He's there too. Why didn't they tell me? Tyler's face darkened. Because Jessica convinced them you're trying to sabotage Uncle Alex's recovery. She showed them emails supposedly from you to his board of directors, trying to have him declared mentally unfit. Those are fake. I know, Mom. That's why I hacked her laptop. Mark and I stared at our middle son, who shrugged. What? Someone had to do something while you were playing detective. He pulled out his phone, showing us screenshots. She's been planning this for over a year. The adoption idea? That was Ryan's suggestion, not Uncle Alex's. He and Jessica, they've been having an affair, I finished, the words tasting like ash. Not exactly. Tyler scrolled through more messages. She promised to make him CEO after Uncle Alex dies. Said she could convince the board if Ryan played along with her plan. Mark cursed under his breath. She's manipulating both brothers. 3, Tyler corrected. Lucas is involved too. She's been helping him apply to private schools behind your back, promising to pay his tuition if he supports her story about your mental state. The room spun slightly. I gripped the counter, trying to process the layers of betrayal. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Your brother's condition is deteriorating. Shame about the mix-up with his medication. But then, accidents happen when family members interfere with treatment plans. Mom, Tyler's voice seemed far away. What are we going to do? I looked at the photos again. My eldest son, my dying brother, my youngest being pulled into Jessica's elaborate scheme, each of them thinking they were getting what they wanted, none seeing the poison she was feeding them all. We're going to give her exactly what she wants, I said finally. Mark's eyebrows shot up. You can't be serious. Tyler, can you get into her banking records? He nodded slowly. Already have. She's got offshore accounts under her previous names. Good. Because we're going to help her kill my brother." "What?" both Mark and Tyler exclaimed. I picked up the toxicology report. She's careful, patient. Each death looked natural because she took her time. But if Alex dies too quickly, with too much poison in his system, the police will investigate, Tyler finished, understanding dawning on his face. And when they do, they'll find the evidence of her previous murders, along with proof that she's been manipulating my children. I turned to Mark. "Unless you have a better idea?" He studied my face for a long moment. "You're talking about letting your brother die to catch her. I'm talking about sacrificing one life to save three." My voice cracked. Because if we don't stop her now, Ryan will spend years under her control. Lucas will be trapped in her web, and who knows how many other families she'll destroy. Tyler's phone chimed. "Ryan's texting. Uncle Alex is asking for you. Says it's urgent." I grabbed my keys again, this time with purpose. Time to give Jessica her final performance. You two know what to do. As I drove to the hospital, I tried not to think about how revenge had twisted me into someone who could plot her own brother's death. But sometimes, fighting monsters means becoming one yourself. The family dinner felt like sitting on a powder keg. Alex barely touched his food, while Jessica kept refilling his wine glass with practiced care. Ryan sat at her right hand, playing the devoted nephew, while Lucas sulked at the far end of the table. Only Tyler watched everything with the same calculating gaze I'd come to rely on. "The doctors are very optimistic," Jessica announced, her hand resting possessively on Alex's shoulder. "The new treatment protocol is showing promise." "Which doctors?" The words slipped out before I could stop them. "The ones who prescribed the medication I found in your drawer?" The crystal wine glass in Jessica's hand trembled slightly. "I don't know what you're implying." "Mom," Ryan warned, but I was done playing nice. "3 previous husbands, Jessica, all dead within 2 years of marriage, all with similar symptoms to Alex's current condition." The silence that followed was deafening. Alex's fork clattered against his plate. "That's ridiculous," Jessica laughed, but her eyes were sharp as razors. "Ryan, tell your mother she's being paranoid." Ryan cleared his throat. "Mom's been under a lot of stress lately. Maybe we should show them the transfer records." I cut in. "The ones proving she's been paying you to support her story." The color drained from Ryan's face. Lucas sat up straighter, suddenly interested. "What transfer records?" Alex's voice was barely a whisper. Jessica stood abruptly, wine sloshing over the rim of her glass. "I won't sit here and listen to these accusations. Alex needs rest, not this toxic environment." "Sit down." Tyler's command surprised everyone. He pulled out his phone, sliding it across the table to Alex. "Everything's there. The offshore accounts, the previous marriages, the suspicious deaths, and the messages between Ryan and Jessica planning how to manipulate you." Ryan lunged for the phone, but Mark caught his arm. "Don't," my husband said quietly. "It's time for truth." Alex scrolled through the evidence, his hands shaking. "Ryan, is this true?" "Uncle Alex, I can explain. He was trying to protect your legacy." Jessica interrupted smoothly. "Unlike some people who only want to tear this family apart." "By sleeping with my nephew?" The words hung in the air like poison. Jessica's mask cracked. We never." "The hotel receipts suggest otherwise," Tyler said, his voice cold. Lucas stood up so suddenly his chair toppled backward. "You promised me a future. You said if I helped you, you'd make sure I got into Westbrook Academy." "Lucas, quiet," Ryan snapped, but the damage was done. "All this time," Alex whispered, "while I was planning our future, planning to give you everything, I did it for us." Jessica reached for him, but he recoiled. "Everything I did was to secure our position, our legacy. By poisoning me, like the others?" She froze. "What others?" "The toxicology reports," I said quietly. "From husband number 2. Thallium poisoning is pretty distinctive." Jessica's composure shattered. She grabbed her wine glass and hurled it at me, but Tyler was faster, pulling me aside. The glass shattered against the wall, leaving a blood-red stain. "You've ruined everything," she screamed, advancing toward me. "I had it all planned perfectly." "Mom, stop her," Lucas yelled, but Ryan was already moving, putting himself between Jessica and me. "Don't," he said, his voice breaking. "It's over." The look she gave him could have frozen hell. You ungrateful little. Alex's coughing fit interrupted her tirade. He doubled over, gasping for breath, blood speckling his napkin. Call an ambulance, Mark shouted, rushing to Alex's side. Jessica used the chaos to bolt for the door, but I was ready. As she passed, I grabbed her arm, spinning her around. You're not going anywhere. Her laugh was hollow. You think you've won. Look at your family, Maya. Look what your precious truth has done. Ryan's future is ruined. Lucas's dreams are shattered. And Alex? She glanced at my brother's convulsing form. Well, the damage is already done. I made sure of that this morning. She twisted free and ran, leaving me torn between pursuing her and helping Alex. The sound of sirens grew closer as I watched my family fracture before my eyes. Ryan knelt beside his uncle, tears streaming down his face. Lucas huddled in a corner while Tyler called the police. Mark caught my eye across the chaos, and I saw my own horror reflected there. We'd exposed the truth, but at what cost? And somewhere out there, Jessica was escaping with all our secrets, all our weaknesses, and nothing left to lose. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. The hospital corridor stretched endlessly before me as I followed the trail of blood drops, tiny crimson breadcrumbs leading to my brother's room. Alex had collapsed again during his attempted escape, proving Jessica's morning dosage had been particularly lethal. He's asking for you, the nurse said, but her expression suggested I shouldn't expect much time. Inside, machines beeped in irregular rhythm. Tyler sat in the corner, laptop open, frantically tracking Jessica's financial movements. Mark stood guard at the door while Ryan paced like a caged animal. Where's Lucas? I asked. Gone, Ryan spat, following Jessica's breadcrumbs about some private school connection. He won't answer his phone. Alex's hand trembled as he reached for me. The safe, he whispered, behind the Kandinsky in my study. Everything you need. His monitors screamed. Medical staff flooded the room, pushing us out. Through the chaos, I caught Ryan slipping something into his pocket, a piece of paper from Alex's bedside table. What did you take? He met my gaze with Jessica's same cold calculation. Insurance. Against what? Against you destroying everything Uncle Alex built. He backed away. You think you're protecting this family? You're tearing it apart. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. The text contained only an address and 4 words. Lucas says hello, sister dear. Tyler looked up from his laptop. Mom, Jessica just emptied all of Alex's accounts. Every penny gone. The doctor emerged, his face grave. We've stabilized him, but the toxicology report shows massive organ failure. Whatever he was given will kill him, I finished. That's the point. My phone buzzed again. A photo this time. Lucas sitting in what looked like a private school office. Jessica's manicured hand visible on his shoulder. She's at Westbrook Academy, Tyler said, already pulling up the location. But Mom, there's something else. The school's financial director, he was married to Jessica's first victim. The pieces clicked together with sickening clarity. She's not running. This was her plan all along. Get Alex's money, take Lucas, destroy what's left of our family. Ryan. Mark's shout made us turn. Our eldest son was sprinting down the corridor, Alex's paper clutched in his hand. Let him go, I said, watching him disappear. He's made his choice. What now? Tyler asked. Now? I pulled out my car keys. Now we finish this. Mark, stay with Alex. Tyler, I need everything you can find on Westbrook Academy and Jessica's connection to it. And call the police. Tell them where to find her. Mom, Tyler's voice cracked slightly. What if we're too late? What if Lucas... Don't. The word came out sharper than intended. Your brother's not the only one she's trying to destroy. This is about legacy, about family. She's taken my brother, corrupted Ryan, and now she's using Lucas to complete her revenge. Revenge for what? For being the family she could never have. The realization hit me as I said it. Every husband, every manipulation. She's been trying to create the perfect family, then destroying it when it proves imperfect. My phone buzzed one final time. A video. Lucas staring into the camera, tears streaming down his face. Mom, I'm sorry. She says if you don't bring Alex's new will to Westbrook within the hour, she'll make sure Ryan takes the fall for everything. The affairs, the poison, all of it. She has proof. The screen went black. Tyler's fingers flew across his keyboard. Mom, the police are on their way, but they won't make it in time. I checked my watch. How long can you keep Alex stable? Mark's face darkened. You can't be serious. Jessica wants to destroy our family? Fine, let's give her what she wants. I pulled out my own copy of Alex's will, the one she didn't know about. But this time, we play by my rules. Maya. Mark grabbed my arm. This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about survival. No, I said, shaking him off. This is about justice. For Alex, for her other husbands, for our sons. I headed for the door. Sometimes the only way to protect your family is to be willing to lose them. Behind me, the monitors tracking Alex's heartbeat grew fainter, like a countdown to what was coming. I had less than an hour to save one son, stop another from destroying himself, and prevent a murderer from completing her masterpiece of destruction. And somewhere in the gathering darkness, Jessica waited, thinking she'd finally won. She had no idea what a mother protecting her children was capable of. It was time to show her. Westbrook Academy's empty hallways echoed with my footsteps as I approached the headmaster's office. Through the frosted glass, I could make out 3 silhouettes: Jessica, Lucas, and Ryan. Of course, Ryan would be here. He'd chosen his side. Right on time, Jessica called out as I entered. She sat behind the headmaster's desk like she belonged there, Lucas rigid beside her, Ryan leaning against the window with Alex's papers clutched in his hand. Where's the real headmaster? I asked, though I already knew. Indisposed. Food poisoning, such a shame. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. The will? I placed a manila envelope on the desk. First, let Lucas go. Mom, Lucas's voice cracked. I'm sorry, I thought... Quiet, Jessica snapped. Ryan, verify the documents. As Ryan reached for the envelope, I noticed something odd about his stance. The slight tremor in his hands, the way he wouldn't meet my eyes. He was scared. It's fake, he said after scanning the papers. This isn't Uncle Alex's signature. Jessica's facade cracked slightly. Where's the real will? With the police. Tyler's voice came from my phone in my pocket on speaker, along with the evidence from your previous husband's deaths. They're on their way. You're bluffing. But Jessica's hand slipped into her desk drawer. The headmaster didn't have food poisoning, did he? I took a step forward. He recognized you from your first husband's case. That's why you needed him gone. Mom, Ryan warned, but I kept going. 3 husbands, 3 schools, 3 destroyed families. Always targeting men with sons, always playing the perfect stepmother, until they discovered the truth. Jessica pulled out a syringe, grabbing Lucas. Stay back. That's thallium in there, isn't it? Same thing you gave Alex this morning. Ryan's been helping you administer it for weeks, hasn't he? Lucas struggled, but Jessica held firm. Ryan moved toward them, his face unreadable. You don't understand. Jessica's voice shook. I gave them everything. Every husband, every family. I tried to be perfect, to create something lasting, but they always chose their blood relatives over me. Always. So you killed them? I set them free, and I gave their sons better opportunities, better futures. By manipulating them, by destroying their families, by saving them from mothers like you. She pressed the syringe against Lucas's neck. So protective, so righteous. But you're suffocating them. Ryan understands. Don't you, Ryan? But Ryan wasn't looking at Jessica anymore. He was looking at his phone, at the text I knew Tyler had just sent him. Proof that Jessica had already transferred Alex's money to an account in her name alone, leaving Ryan with nothing. You promised, he whispered. You said we'd build something together, that I'd inherit. Oh, grow up, Jessica spat. You were just like the others, so desperate for approval, so easy to mold. The syringe trembled against Lucas's skin. One push, and my youngest would suffer the same slow death as Alex. Mom, Lucas whimpered, and in that moment I saw my opening. Jessica, I said softly, there's something you should know about the will. She hesitated. What? Alex changed it last week, left everything to you, no conditions, it's in his safe at home. You're lying. Check your phone. Tyler just sent you the proof. As she reached for her phone with her free hand, Ryan moved. In one fluid motion, he grabbed the syringe and pulled Lucas away. Jessica lunged forward, but I was ready. The punch connected with her jaw, sending her sprawling across the desk. "That's for my brother," I said as she struggled to rise. "And this," I grabbed her hair, slamming her head against the wood, "is for my sons." Sirens wailed in the distance. Ryan held Lucas as he sobbed, the syringe safely out of reach. "Mom," Ryan's voice broke. "I didn't know. I thought—" "I know." I kept Jessica pinned as footsteps thundered down the hallway. "We'll talk about it later." As the police burst in, Jessica started laughing. "You think this is over? Your precious family is already destroyed. Look at them. The trust broken, the bonds shattered. I've already won." I leaned close as they handcuffed her. "No, Jessica. You just taught my sons what real family looks like. It's not perfect. It's not even always good. But we protect our own, even from themselves." The police led her away, her laughter echoing through the halls like a dying curse. My sons stood together, broken but alive, and I realized that sometimes victory looks a lot like survival. The key felt heavy in my hand as I unlocked Alex's front door. His house still smelled like him, coffee and expensive cologne, but the silence was deafening. The doctors had given him days, maybe hours. Jessica's final dose had done its work. Ryan stood in the doorway of the study, watching me gather Alex's papers. "The police want my statement tomorrow." "Tell them the truth." I pulled open the safe behind the Kandinsky. All of it. Even about helping her poison him? My hands stilled on the documents. Especially that. Lucas appeared in the doorway, his face tight. They found more victims. 7 husbands, not 3. Different names, different cities. 8, Tyler corrected, joining us with his laptop. "Just found another one from 2015. She was getting better at hiding them." The safe's contents spread across Alex's desk like a roadmap of destruction. Bank statements, property deeds, and a letter addressed to me in my brother's shaking handwriting. "I knew," I read aloud, "about Jessica, about Ryan, about everything. But I thought I could protect them both. Forgive me, little sister. Some legacies aren't worth preserving." Ryan made a choked sound and left the room. Lucas followed, but Tyler lingered. "The money's gone," he said quietly. "She transferred everything before we caught her. Even with the evidence, it'll take years to recover." I closed the safe. "We don't need it." But Uncle Alex wanted family. Real family. Not whatever twisted version Jessica sold him. The front door opened, and Mark's footsteps echoed through the house. "Maya?" The hospital called. I nodded, unable to speak. We all knew what that meant. "There's something else," Mark continued. "They found this in Jessica's cell." He held out a crumpled note. The handwriting was elegant, controlled. "You think you've won, sister dear? Look closer at your precious family. Ryan wasn't the only one I taught my tricks to. Some poisons take years to surface. Some betrayals never heal. Sweet dreams." Lucas appeared behind me, reading over my shoulder. His face went pale. "She's lying," he whispered. I wouldn't." But I saw the guilt in his eyes, remembered the strange illnesses that plagued his brothers over the past year. Small doses, experimental ones. Jessica's teaching methods were thorough. "Mom?" Tyler's voice cracked. I burned the note in Alex's fancy fireplace, watching Jessica's final attempt at destruction turn to ash. "We start over," I said. "All of us. No more secrets, no more poison, metaphorical or otherwise." "How?" Ryan had returned, hovering in the doorway like a ghost. "After everything I did, we rebuild, one truth at a time." I turned to Lucas. "Starting with what Jessica taught you." He broke down then, confessing everything. The small doses, the experiments, the way she made it seem like a game. Tyler held his younger brother while he sobbed, his own tears falling silently. Mark touched my shoulder. "Alex is asking for all of us." The drive to the hospital was silent. In the ICU, Alex barely had strength to smile, but his eyes were clear. "Did you find it?" he whispered. "In the safe?" I showed him Jessica's note. She tried one last time. Always had to have the last word. His laugh turned into a cough. "Ryan?" Our eldest son stepped forward, tears streaming. "I'm sorry, Uncle Alex. You thought you could save everyone. Just like your mother." Alex's hand found mine. The real legacy isn't in the safe. It's in them, even the broken parts. His monitors began to slow. Promise me, he managed. No more revenge, only healing. I looked at my sons, Ryan's guilt, Tyler's quiet strength, Lucas's desperate need for redemption. The poisons in our family ran deeper than Jessica's chemicals, but maybe that's what made us stronger. We knew our darkness, could face it together. I promise, I whispered, but Alex was already gone. Later, standing in his empty study, I found one last note in the safe, written years ago. Family is the hardest poison to swallow, and the only antidote that matters. I left it there, locked away with the rest of our secrets. Some legacies are meant to be buried, while others, the ones written in blood and tears and forgiveness, those are the ones worth preserving, even if they leave scars, especially if they leave scars.